Okay, I'm live. Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Happy pre-Halloween. I know it's scary out there, but crypto's looking good. Crypto's not looking scary at all. I want to be very brief. There's a lot going on in the background, so I'm going to just drop some quick gems. Today I'm going to be talking about these are 300x gems, right? So these are either going to go 300x or they're going to go to zero. By the way, this is Financial Freedom. This is Crypto Excel. I'm pressed for time, so I'm going to run through them really quick and why I think that these are really interesting coins to take a look at. By the way, as always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Crypto is very risky. I'm about to mention some coins that could literally go to zero. All right, so coins that could go 300x, there is going to be a lot of risk involved, right? So something like this, I would put like maybe $100, $200, something like that, where if I lose it, I won't be devastated, right? All right, so without further ado, let me get into it, what I think about it and why it's in that category. So if you look at the liquidity score of this particular coin, this is called MILK, M-I-L-K. This is on the Cardano blockchain, right? Now, if you look at the liquidity score, it's only 62. A liquidity score of this low means that there's not as much liquidity. So if you try to sell it, let's say you bought a lot of it right now and you wanted to sell it. Let's say you put like, $2,000 or some large amount in there and you tried to sell it and you want to sell it right now at whatever this price is right now. It might be harder for you to move big dollar amounts with something that has a low liquidity, meaning that there's not as many people trading it, because we're still in an altcoin bear market. So Bitcoin is in a bull market. We're now in the bull because Bitcoin is around 34, heading towards 35K. And we're also at resistance at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin could have a pullback at this point and come back down more to like 31K, right? If we break past this 35 and we start heading up like 36, 37, we're going to have an explosive growth right after that. So we're at a critical moment in the market where we could either see a lot of altcoins go 5x, or we could see the altcoins drop 40%. So we're at a very critical point. Now, a coin like this is a very small market cap coin. Total market cap here is $16 million, and the fully diluted is $26 million. This is a DEX, right? So the last bull market, Uniswap was the number one DEX on the Ethereum chain. Cardano was really trying to get started with their DeFi applications and all their other applications on the chain. So it really wasn't a fully running and functional chain. This bull market, Cardano has one of the most active ecosystems and developers, and they've been building heavily during this during this bear market. Freudian slip, because the bull market is right around the corner next year. Right, we're heading into the altcoin bull market, which will be coming up after the halving next year in 2024. Unless something, anything can happen in crypto. The ETFs from BlackRock could pass before the end of the year, and boom, where Bitcoin's in a bull market, and then it drags the altcoins with it. So anything could happen. So my strategy is to DCA some now and DCA some in later, right? So I have some money in now, and if Bitcoin were to boom and take off, then I'm fine. I'll take my 5x, 10x, and I'm fine. If Bitcoin were to crash and a black swan event happens, because the world is a unsafe place, and we crash into the 20s and the altcoins fall 40-50%, I will pick up some altcoins at a very nice price, right? So either way, I'm going to be doing okay, and that's what I would do. I will have a contingency plan for either direction, up or down, right? I do feel the general direction is up. The general direction in markets in general is up and to the right. So if you zoom out, right, and you were to look at Bitcoin since its inception for 12, 13 years, you will see that the graph is from the bottom left going all the way up to the right, to the top right. So it's exponential growth. So if you zoom out, you won't be that scared. So again, not financial advice. Consult a financial advisor if you want financial advice. But let's get into MilkSwap, right? So this, as I said, is a DEX in Cardano. All it needs to do is survive. If this thing survives, it will have phenomenal gains. If you look at how it's performed throughout its inception, it started. This is towards the middle of the bear run, or the beginning of the bear run, March 2022, and it just plummeted all the way down, and it's been steady, no action. Right here at 68 cents, that's when I was getting in, right? So I rode this thing, and it did a 6x all the way, a 10x all the way up here to $6. So it went from 60 cents to $6. So when I say a 10x in crypto, that means a 1,000% gain. So a 1,000% gain is possible in crypto in a very short amount of time. It is not probable in the stock market or other markets. Real estate will take a very long time for you to get a 1,000x. Real estate doesn't move like that. Real estate takes decades, right? The stock market takes decades until you retire, right? You start investing in your 20s, and by 65, you should be able to retire and maintain your lifestyle. If you don't have any emergencies along the way, like a hospital visit or a student loan or a mortgage, or you need some place to live, or your car breaks down, because this is what happens to most people at these points, is when they take money out of their 401k plan to pay for their kids' college tuition, or if they're going through a divorce, or one of these things in life. So while the 401k plan in theory is an excellent idea, in practice, it does not work as far as sustaining someone into their retirement. Why? Because the 401k plan was invented during a time when there was a three-legged stool. You had the 401k plan, you had pensions from your employer, and you also had Social Security, right? Now, if you look at the 401k plan, first of all, we're not going to be able to manage our 401k plans in general, because like I said, we will dip into it before we retire. We will. Don't tell me that, if you just, we won't. The reason why we're going to dip into it is because at the time when the 401k plan was invented, you had homes were like $20,000 to buy a house, right? You also had a lot of more incentives and help from the government to buy a house, especially with the soldiers returning back from World War II. This is history. This is going back into the past. You had one income was enough to sustain an entire household with mother, child, father, and college tuition was. You were able to pay for that. College tuition was a fraction of the household cost. So basically what I'm trying to say is that right now life is not affordable for most people. And I know it's a weird kind of saying. It does sound strange saying that, but the numbers don't add up. It doesn't. And you're about to see it because things are falling apart. The reason why society is falling apart, part of it is because thus maintaining your quality of life is not being maintained by the current socio-economical situation that we're currently in. The cost of education has gone up 15-fold, right? But your income, how much you make on your job, has gone up 15%, right? It doesn't. The cost of housing has gone up over the last decade. The cost of housing has gone up 5x, right? The cost of food is going up tremendously. I found out the average auto loan now. You know that it's 5-year car loans now. There's 7-year car loans. This is ridiculous. So basically, there are literally people living in their cars right now. There are people, and it's not just people who can't afford rent. There are also people like me, but people who are like, they did the numbers and they're like, well, I could either pay $2,500 rent, $3,000 rent, or I could just stay in my car and save some money up. So there are a lot of people who are just saving money up. And I'm not saying that I'm living in my car, but I'm saying if I was younger and I was on my own, meaning I didn't have a family that had my back, that I would think about this. So by the way, I'm going off on a tangent, right? I'm supposed to be talking about this particular coin right here, but I'm putting things into perspective for you to let you know the background as to why I am looking into crypto, because I realize that I'm looking for it as a way out of this system. I realize that it's a trap. I'm one of the woken slaves. I realize what's going on. I don't know if everyone realizes what's going on, but a lot of people know that there's something wrong. They might not realize what's going on, but they realize there's something wrong. Okay, so to get back into why I'm interested in this right here is a lottery ticket. Okay, that's how I look at it. And I told you before, this could fail. This is crypto. People do rug pulls, they do scams, they run away with the money. This happens all the time. Even well-established projects in the top 10 has had scandals. This is crypto. And I'm digging deep. I'm going deep down into, this is rank number 4,729. Okay, this is super high risk, super duper high risk. So again, I would not put money into this that I couldn't afford to lose, right? So I would, again, a couple $100, whatever, maybe I'll give it a try. But if this thing survives, being that we're close to the halving and looking at the price chart, we've had action here. If you look at this price chart, there's a history behind this price chart, right, by the way. There is the team, they lost confidence in the team right here because the team did something that the people didn't agree with. You could look into exactly what it was. It had something to do with how the transactions were being processed, where people felt that they were losing their ADA or losing some of their milk coin. So the team did something they shouldn't have done right here, and confidence was lost, right? I look at things, I want to know what's going on with the team, but I also, more importantly, I look at the chart and what the chart tells me. And what I see in the chart is that this thing was in a bear market, and people realized that it was undervalued, and the price started going up. There was panic here. There was a lot of confidence lost, and it crashed. And then I continue to look at the chart, and I'm seeing, this is the low, huh? Because it looks like it's starting an uptick again, right? Okay. Next thing I do is I'm looking at the total circulating supply versus this is total circulating supply versus the supply that's out. So market cap versus fully diluted market cap that's down here. So if you look at it, it's 16 million to 26 million. So 62% of the coin is out, which means that I'm not going to be affected by dilution during the bull market. So they're not going to be able to dump more tokens on me because the token's already out, right? So that's number one. Number two, I know some background of Cardano, the amount of dexes they have. They have quite a few. They have like 6 dexes. There might be more by now. The number one dex is MilkSwap is number one. But if you look at MilkSwap, right, this is the other dex in Cardano. If you look at MilkSwap, their dilution is terrible, right? They have 14% out, meaning that if this thing were to do like a 10x, so it would be 10 times your money. Oh, but wait, the other 90%, the other 80, the other 86% of the tokens are now coming out. So we have to divide that by 8 or something like that, right? So instead of getting a 10x, now you get a 2x or 3x. So that's why I don't like the dilution. Even though this is a number one coin and a graph like this, we're kind of like right back where we started, and they didn't have a scandal. And we're right back. We're close. We're not exactly. We're like 50% higher than where we started. But if there wasn't so much dilution, you'd be closer to up here. You'd be like here or here, right? You wouldn't be down there. So that's why MilkSwap for me, they still have 86% of their tokens that they have to distribute. So I'm not too much into that. And then you also have SundaySwap. It's another one I'm going to talk about. So far for Cardano DEX, I'm like MilkSwap. That's my guy. That's what I'm rolling with. I'm feeling that, you know, this thing could be phenomenal. It doesn't have to be the number one DEX in Cardano. It could be the number 3 DEX in Cardano, and it will still do phenomenally well, right? Let me go into SundaySwap to show you the competition, and also this is another degen coin, which, you know, it's not even showing you all of the information here on CoinMarketCap. Because the reason why is because it's on the Cardano chain, and it's not pulling from it's not connected to CoinMarketCap, right? But you can see that it's on a lot of exchanges here. These are B-rated exchanges like Bitrue. It's on all the Cardano dexes though, which is really important. And all the Cardano dexes, the activity is not showing up here. But if you look at the liquidity score, that's actually pretty terrible. That's not good. I look for a liquidity score of 200 or above, and I think that's a lot safer, because when you're ready to sell your coins, you have someone to sell it to when the liquidity score is above 200. I do see a liquidity score of 119 here, which is very, very good, meaning there's some activity. But if you look at the volume, it's only 0.41% of the total volume here. So most of the volume is moving through this exchange called CoinX, but the liquidity score is very low. It's only 18, which means you're going to have ridiculously high price fluctuations. So the price now is 0.0079. So in a day's time, the price of this thing is probably spiking up and spiking back down. Right, so this is what I mean by liquidity, making sure you have a steady price and somebody to sell to. Like, what is this? This is strange. It's straight, and then a big dump. This is what I mean. Like, this coin right here is a super duper high risk coin, right? It is high risk. Look at this. You finally build up, dump. What's the explanation of this dump? It went from 13 to 8. You know what that's like a 50% drop. That's wow. This is what I mean. Like this right here, this is super high risk, right? So this is SundaySwap, right? The first one I showed you was MilkSwap, so now this is SundaySwap. What do I think about SundaySwap? SundaySwap is more high risk than the one I just showed you, which is MilkSwap. However, these things just need to survive, and you can see like a 400x from SundaySwap and also MilkSwap. It does need to survive, but they can fail. There's a lot of things going on with this coin. There's litigation between SundaySwap and CardStarter, and that's still in the courts. There is suspicious business activities. That's how the lawsuit started in the first place, right? So this would be a tremendous risk right here, right? And the chart, you look at the chart. The chart's like 99% down, or you know, this from here to here. I'm sure there's information that's not even showing on this chart, because this chart started when this coin hit the exchange. So there's a history for this coin before it hit the exchange, right? So now I've dug so deep into degen that I've picked up and showed coins here that, let me put it this way, if we had another 2-year bear market, it's highly likely that these two would fail. They would just go to zero. And 90% of coins go to zero. So it's highly likely that if we had bear market going on for that long, that these two would eventually, they would not be able to pay the teams. They would run out of money, right? But we're not in a 2-year bear market. We're just not, right? If you look at the time period where we're at, we're in October, right? We're in October, so we're close to the end of this year. The Bitcoin halving is in March/April of 2024. So all this thing has to do is survive for another 8 months. And if it survives for another 8 months, which I think it will, then I do believe that it will regain. If you look at the all-time high for this, doesn't even show here in these charts that has all this information missing. The all-time high here was 29 cents, right? And the price now is 0.007. So that means that this is not even a penny yet. It's not even a penny. So that's 29 pennies to get back to where it was. And this, you need a fraction of a third more to get back to 1 penny here. So that's like a 60x just to get back to all-time high. And the all-time high listed here is probably not the real all-time high. It's probably really higher than this because there's a bunch of missing information here. Let's see what it tells us on CoinGecko. Let's type over this really. CoinGecko. Let me go to CoinGecko and see what we could find out on SundaySwap. Just to let you know, yeah, I'm looking at degen coins here, and if Bitcoin were to fall, this thing's going to fall again another 40%. You know, this last Bitcoin pump, if you look at the Bitcoin pump, Bitcoin's been pumping for the last 30 days, right? And if you look at this, it came down to 60, 0.005, and then it went back up to 0.0078, right? So that means that in a period of 1 month, this is half a month really, right? Half a month, it went up like 40%, right? So this is what I'm trying to say about this is explosive on the upside and the downside. So if you look at the 1 month, it's going to say that I broke even. But if you bought it here in the middle, it would have been up 40%. But again, if this thing survives, you know, I'm comparing it to a fraction of what Uniswap did in a bull run, right? If we could remember the market cap of SundaySwap, so it shows you, okay, there's a total value lock. It's not showing you the market cap here. Perhaps if I go to Tap Tools, I can see a market cap. So taptools.io is a website you use when you want to see the market cap for Cardano coins. SundaySwap. What are you showing me for SundaySwap? So much information right here. Let's see, market cap is 18 million. And that's in ADA, so you'd have to convert it to USD, right, or the currency that you're used to. So that's 5 million, right? So the market cap is 5 million. And another thing too is we want to look at the chart. So this is a daily chart, but let's look since inception. Remember the other that coin market cap, that CoinGecko was telling me that that coin market cap was telling me that the high was 29 cents, and if you come here, it's saying the high was $1, right? That's kind of a big difference. But let's just say, you know, you push it to a few days later, high is like 91 cents. So let's say a high of $1, right? And this was in January of 2022, so this was the start of the bear market. So in January 2022, this was $1, right? And if you look at this, it says up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, but overall down. So pretty much wreckage, complete wreckage, right? And it's still just going down. So this thing is 1/100th and less than 1/100th, right? Because it went down to 0.005 before, so that would be 1/200th. This is crypto. Things go down 1/200th, right? They go down that 1/200th. So when you're like, it can't possibly go down anymore. No, look, it went down more. This little thing here, that's like probably like 40%. So when you're like, it's already down 90%, it can't go down that much more. It could go down another 90%, right? So that's why I'm saying, like, something like this, don't be surprised, like, you know, like, let's say you put $100 in here and then the $100 turns to $50. It could continue to go down. And from there, this could go all the way down to 0, or it could start to curve back up like that, right, and come back, right? So if Bitcoin were to stay in a sustained bear market for another 2 years, this would go to 0. But if Bitcoin were to turn around from this point and start to head back up, then this could start to head back. You see how it started to head back up right here? But this could be a short-term revival. Hey, this could be a short-term revival, right? It could head up and then Bitcoin could come back down again, and this could go back down. You know, so that's all possible, right? Or Bitcoin could only go down for a little bit. Like, let's say Bitcoin were to pull back to 31 and then turn around and we have a up November, right? And Bitcoin heads towards 47K, and then something like this starts to head back up. and then you get like a 200% change in a coin like this. And this is not the strongest coin by any means, right? This is not a coin I would get today and expect to be profitable in 2 months, 3 months. No, this is a coin that I would buy and forget about it and then revisit it in 2025. Because if this coin survives in 2020, this is the kind of coin that if we have a revival in Bitcoin, like Bitcoin's up only generally for the next 2 years, that one day this thing will just go whoop and it'll look like a check mark. It'll just go like straight up, and then all of a sudden this 0.00, it doesn't exist anymore, right? So I mentioned 2 coins. I mentioned SundaySwap, and I also mentioned Milk, right? So these are my Cardano degen picks. These are like 400x coins, and these coins are either going to do 400x or they're going to go to zero. So again, these are my lottery ticket coins. These are not coins that I would put the majority of my portfolio in, because again, these can go to zero, and even more so than the other ones that I've ever mentioned before. These are really far down the danger chart at rank 3,000. They're just ridiculous rank and at extremely low market caps, right? But yeah, if these survive, and I'm going to place a small bet, especially as we get closer and closer to the halving, I'll place a small bet in both of them. There's another one I'm going to place a small bet in, and that's that. Before I show you that one, let me see what it says here for Milk. By the way, I feel stronger about Milk than I do for SundaySwap. I do, because the circulating supply of Milk, like more than half of it's out, so they can't dilute me. Whereas SundaySwap, they could still dilute me. I don't want to be diluted, man. I like my milk straight. I don't want to be diluted. So diluted milk does not taste good. Watered down milk, ugh, no. So market cap, yeah, I think we talked about this, right? So market cap versus market cap is 16 million. Yeah, I think we talked about it. We said it was way above 50%. Fully diluted market cap. Yeah, 16 million to 26 million. So that's like, what is that, man? That's like 56%. Some number like that. It's close to 60%. So definitely this is good. I feel strongly that Milk is going to surprise us. I think they're going to. And you look at the chart too. The chart looks different than Sunday. You remember Sunday was down. Milk pumped. It already proved itself, and then came down. And look, higher low, higher low, higher low, high. Aside from this peak, right? This peak. If they didn't do what they did here, they screwed up here. The team did something. If they didn't do that, we would have been up here. So at $7. So this right now to me represents a discount, and I'd be willing to buy here. I'd be willing to buy anything below $7 actually, and I would just hold. I'd buy a little bit. I wouldn't go all in. I would just nibble a little bit, and then I would leave it in my portfolio, and I would come back and look at it in 2025. That's what I would do. And these are my lottery ticket coins. These are my coins that, like, should they survive, that I come back and it's just stupid valuation, right? So remember the market caps that I was talking about. I was about to go to Uniswap, but right before I do that, let me also mention Gerro Wallet. Gerro Wallet is another one of those coins where this is a complete lottery ticket. This is like, what kind of X could be? Look at the chart. It's horrible. And it's just now, you see this little curve? But this curve happened because Bitcoin went from 25K to 35K, right? That's why this curve came. So you need a bull market for this thing to wake up. But what I think is going to happen is that the Cardano ecosystem, when the bull market comes back, is that it's going to surprise everybody, because I believe Cardano is going to have Hydra by then, and it's going to be super duper fast, and people are going to use Ethereum, and they're going to realize when they try to do a swap on Ethereum that they have $200 fees for like a $50 transaction, and they're going to be like, this is stupid, and they're going to use Optimism and Arbitrum and Arbitron and other layer 2s, and they're going to realize that it's cumbersome to transfer my coin from Ethereum, and all my coins can't be transferred over. So let me see what Cardano is, and they'll realize Cardano doesn't have those problems. By the way, by then they're going to have better and quicker and layer 1s than Cardano, but Cardano has a lot of security, and it's also decentralized. So I think Cardano is going to shock a lot of people, as well as Solana and Matic, which is also a layer 2. But all these coins and ecosystems they're going to shock a lot of people, and I think people are sleeping on ADA because they have the biggest or one of the biggest developments in the bear market. So when the bull market comes, you just need these coins to survive until the bull market, until the altcoin bull market. When it comes back to the altcoin bull market, a coin that's like this has been devastated. I will go to Gerro Wallet really quick, and I will do my comparison to Uniswap last bull market and what it did. So Gerro Wallet, let's see if we have information. The market cap here, you realize that's not even $1 million. This is $430,000. It's 23% circulating supply, but with a market, this is not even $1 million, man. Total diluted market cap is 1.7 million. But with something that's not even 1 million, the reason why it's not 1 million is because it's on a chain that's not really popular right now. As far as it being in a bear market, the whole industry, crypto in general, the altcoins are in a bear market. Bitcoin dominance is like 54%. No one's paying attention to this. There's other wallets on Cardano. That all being said, all these ecosystems during the bull market, they have their day. So Cardano, the whole ADA ecosystem, is going to have its day. And when it does have its day, if this thing is still around and it's so low that it's not even $1 million, all it has to do is survive. All they have to do is make it through the bear market. If you look at the liquidity, by the way, the liquidity is not showing here. It's being buying this thing is being bought through the Cardano ecosystem. So they're not even on an exchange, which again, I mean, if you're talking about high risk, the other two I showed you were super high risk. This one just took it to another level, right? This is super high risk. It's not even on an exchange. You'll have to use the DEXs. So you'd have to be a crypto degen that goes into the DEXs. You have to go into the Cardano DEXs. You have to go into SundaySwap, MilkSwap, WinRider. You'd have to use those Cardano DEXs in order to get this. You'd have to swap from ADA to Giro Wallet. So this right here, if you're talking about something that could either go to 0 or 600, 700x, this is it, right? This could go to 0 or this could 600x. Look at it, 430,000. Now, so I mentioned those three coins, right? I mentioned Gero Wallet, I mentioned Milk, and I mentioned SundaySwap, right? These are extremely high risk. You can lose all your money. These are ridiculously high risk coins. Now, I'm going to compare it to Uniswap, right? So Uniswap is the number one DEX on Ethereum, right? Its current market cap is $2 billion with a B, right? It's $2 billion. And if you look at the all-time high of Uniswap, the price currently is $4. So the price all-time was $42. If I scroll down to get the exact price, $44.97, right? So that was an all-time high price, but more importantly, we care about market cap. The all-time high market cap was around $22 billion with a B. So this was a number one DEX on the number one ecosystem that most people use, was $22 billion with a B, right? So if I compare that market cap to the all-time high market cap in a bull market of the number one DEX on the number one chain that everyone used during the bull run, I compare that market cap of $22 billion to the market cap of one of these DEXs. So MilkSwap and SundaySwap are DEXs. Gero Wallet is a wallet, but they're all in DeFi and they're on the Cardano blockchain. So if I compare it to the all-time high market cap, or just compare it to the current market cap of one of these DEXs, one of these decentralized applications. So the market cap of MilkSwap is currently 16 million, and I'm comparing a 16 million to a 2 billion. But I don't think milk is going to be number one, right? It could be number two, number three, maybe. And number one is, someone has to be number one. It might be MilkSwap, but I don't like the tokenomics, right? So let's say 1 billion, right? Let's say another thing you have to remember too is that every bull market there's more money involved, right? And if we look how it's been through the last 4 years, because of money printing, the amount of money in circulating supply has almost doubled within 4 years, right? So that's why you could literally compare it to something like 2 billion, because the number one DEX this year might be 4 billion instead of 2 billion, right? If you look at houses, the cost of houses have doubled in the past 4 years, and you think the value of your home has gone up. You think that you're more well off, but what really happened was there's twice the money in circulating supply, right? So what really happened is when you print money and you double the money supply, the cost of fixed goods, fixed assets that have a fixed limit are going to double. So that's why the cost of cars have increased so much, while the cost of food have increased so much. Just about everything in college tuition, everything is double. But college tuition is greed. It shouldn't have gone up that much. A lot of it too is just greed. People taking advantage of the situation and milking the middle class and milking the people. So that's a lot of it too, because it doesn't have to be that high, but they make it higher. Yeah, especially when the cost of resources start to decline and they decide to just keep the price up anyway, right? That's why you really have to figure a way to start owning things, whether it's businesses. You want to start owning things instead of renting all the time, because the price of renting things is keep increasing. When you own things and you already paid it off, you don't have to pay that incremental increase. But how is that related to crypto? It's related to crypto because the governments are about to start printing again, right? The United States doesn't have a choice because there are many conflicts overseas, and they're sending 100 billion over there, 100 billion over here, and the only place the money could come from is if this money is printed, right? And another thing is that the people are suffering, and at some point, you're either going to have civil unrest where people are running into governmental buildings, or you're going to print money so that people could eat. I mean, I wish there was another way to put that, but there is no other way to put that. That's the reason why things like this, it seems silly. Like, who wants to spend money on milk? What is this? Well, some of the surplus money is going to spill into crypto, since the cost of Bitcoin is going to increase because of numerous things, including political instability. People are going to look for a safe haven, someplace they could put their money and not get diluted to death, right? So it basically, where the surplus money is not really in the general public, definitely not today, but there is going to be a surplus of money because they're going to have to start printing to make sure that we don't fall apart at the seams in the Western world. I mentioned America, but it's not just America. To my brethren in the UK and to my brethren all across the land and all across the world, this is a universal thing. The printer is going to go brr very, very soon, and there's not going to be a choice. And when that happens, it's going to increase the cost or the dollar denominated value of risk assets such as Bitcoin. And that will eventually lead to a trickle down into even more riskier assets like this, which is completely degenerate all the way down here. I think the most degenerate one I showed you was Gero. So I mentioned 3 of them. I mentioned Milk, Gero, and Sundae. Maybe I'll just write them here. Milk, Gero, and Sundae. And SundaySwap. Right, so these are Cardano DeFi apps, right? So 2 of them are DEXs, right? I'll put the DEXs together. and I'll put it in the order that I think the risk is from lower risk to higher risk, but they're all extremely high risk. These are super duper high risk, all of them. Like I said, I would only put like $100 or something into these guys, but they're honorable mentions because if they survive, they could surprise, right? I think at this point I'm gonna leave it there. I didn't do a full price evaluation of where they can go, because these are so degenerate that they can go anywhere. I'm comparing it to like $1 billion. I mean, come on. I mean, if you look at just for curiosity, right? I said the top of Uniswap was 2 billion, but again, these are not. Uniswap was the number one DEX on the number one chain. This is not going to be I don't think it's going to be the number one chain, and I don't think Milk is going to be the number one DEX, but it could be the number 3 DEX, right? So you have to account for the number one DEX this year going up to like 4 billion because of the money printing instead of 2 billion, 4 billion, and then you also have to account for the fact that it's not going to be number 1, it might be number 3. Then you also have to account for the fact that it might not be the number 1 chain, it might be the number 4 or some, maybe number 7. Who knows where it's going to be, right? So that's why I came up with a number of like around 1 billion, and again, if I do these numbers, I know I'm going to get a ridiculous valuation here, but these valuations are possibilities. It's saying that it's a 60x from here, but 60x with a market cap of 16 million. So this is a MilkSwap, right? You have to also understand that these calculations involve a lot of variables, right, and a lot of hypotheticals. So I could have a reasonable guess, but don't be surprised if what really happens is not this, right? Because how do you account for variables that don't exist yet? You can't really account for variables that don't exist yet. You could say if this and if that and if this, right? And there's so many variables that it's very hard to come up with an accurate answer, right? So that's what I said with Milk. But I mean, if I were to do Gerro Wallet, is it really fair to compare a wallet to a DEX? Because if I do this, then I'm going to get a stupid answer, right? This is a stupid answer, like 2000x. That's stupid. That's ridiculous. So this is it. This is like perfect scenario for. I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to say let's say 500 million, and even then I'm going to get some ridiculous number. And then this 500 million. Yeah, I mean, it's like a 1000x, so I'm saying some Giro could do something like, that's just ridiculous, man. And then if I were to look at the last one, a SundaySwap, if I remember right, it was like around 5 million, right? It's around 5 million, so 200x. I think that's possible actually for Sunday. This right here, Gero just has to survive, really. If Gero survives, Gero is the most degen, right? So this is Gero. Gero is the most degen. Gero is like, you don't care. You're just gonna. You don't care what happens. You don't care if you lose all your money. So there's an inverse correlation between risk and reward, right? So basically, the higher risk you go, and this is the highest risk is Gero. The highest risk you go is the highest the reward, right? But you best believe you better be willing to lose all your money. You better not cry if you lose all your money here, because if you could try to invest something that can go to 1000x, Most things that can go to 1,000x go to zero. They don't go to 1,000x. They go to zero. You know, what you try to do is you hedge your bets to make the most scientific and calculated risk. So it doesn't mean you don't take risk, but it means you hedge your bets, right? So if for instance, right, if I had like a $2,000 portfolio and I was allocating it towards different coins, and this is the one that could go 1,000x, but it could also go to zero, I would put like $50 into this. I wouldn't put, like $800 into the one that could go to zero. I wouldn't do that. I would put a small amount, like $50 or something like that, into it. And then like ADA itself, right? ADA itself, if I wanted a Cardano portfolio, right? There's some people who wouldn't even touch ADA, and I understand that. That's perfect, right? But if I would put like, maybe $800 into ADA, right, out of my $2,000 portfolio, I wouldn't put $800 into Gero when there's a high chance that this goes to zero, right? But at the same standpoint, it might go to 1,000x. So maybe I will allocate something to it. Maybe I put $50. Maybe I put $100 if I feel that if I'm more risky, right? And then I just put a little bit in these two, right? So that's pretty much it, man. I'm gonna wrap everything up. I said I was gonna be brief and short, but as usual, when I start getting into the analysis, a lot of things come up. I see a lot of things that come up. By the way, if you wanted to know when I DCA'd into any of these coins, at what time I DCA'd, at what price, you could join my Patreon. I'll make sure I put the link connected to this video, or you could also try just my general YouTube website. If you click on my name, you will see the Patreon. And you'll find out when I DCA into it, because there's a difference between buying any of these coins at the low right before it turns around. Like right here, there's a difference between buying it right here. This is at least a 26% difference, right? So 26% in a short period of time. There's a difference between buying it here and then buying it up here. And it could be the difference between 150. Well, this is Gero, so maybe this is a bad example. But there's a difference with this. This would be a difference between. Man, I feel funny even saying it, but it's possible. Remember, this is not financial advice, because again, this is a degen. This is ranked 7,000. Okay, this can really go to zero. But there's a difference still between buying it here and here. But if you're up 1,000x, what does it really matter? So Gero is a bad example because it's super duper high risk. But any one of these coins, right? There's a difference between buying it where it is now versus buying it right here, right? This is $1.80 versus $2.63. So that's a 31% gain, right? So this could be a difference between a 60x and 120x or something like that, right? It's the difference between a 60x and a 100x, right? That's a pretty big difference. Well, anyway, I keep on saying I'm going to go. I'm actually going to go this time. This is Crypto Excel, Financial Freedom. Stay up, be safe, and take care of yourself and your loved ones. Peace.